Serving home cooking, Jack's Barcelona Drive-In, 8249 First Street, Westfield. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner by beautiful Lake Erie in a summer cottage atmosphere with local wines and beers available. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. We got another great show for you here this morning, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I looked outside this morning, and I think we were up to like 3 hours of dry weather. This past week is get the pontoons out and watching the ducks swim by. It's been a wet week, but it's supposed to be nice today. Tomorrow's Father's Day. I guess we're going to have to get the raincoats out later in the day, but it looks like it's promising in the morning. Especially thinking about Father's Day, I want to wish all my colleagues that are dads out there and that have a wonderful day tomorrow, and hopefully you'll be surrounded by family and have your kids over and spend some time. We're tough guys sometimes and we don't always look very emotional, but trust me when I say this, is when everybody's around and talking stories about how you were as a dad years ago or even just last week, we appreciate those things, and it's a lot of fun. If you're your first time here with Chautauqua Sunrise, welcome. I know a lot of folks are tuning in. They're coming in for the summer perhaps, or just for the long weekend. We're a call-in show. We're live right now. It's Saturday morning, whatever the date is, June 20th, I guess it is. I never know because I'm retired. Every day's a Saturday here. And if you want to call in, you can call us at 753-5225, or you can Twitter us that they just showed you. You can email us, Facebook us. You can do whatever you want. You can even, if you call in and you're kind of shy, you can let the guys know on the other end of the phone, and they'll write down the information. They'll bring it into me here in the studio. And what would you call in about? It could be a birthday, an anniversary. Maybe your church or organization's having a chicken barbecue, or you're having a special event that you want to let us know about, and the rest of the community. We're happy to do it. And always remember that whatever we talk about here will be rebroadcast throughout the week, and also especially on WRFA 107.9 in Jamestown. I listen to that radio station every time I can whenever I'm within range. You also can go on the radio, on the computer, and you can Google WRFA, and you can listen to the radio station live on your computer, so it's really cool. If you haven't had a chance to listen to them, they have real interesting programs. It's not what you normally hear on syndicated radio. I was just listening to a piece the other day on the internet, and they were saying, we can say anything we want. And that's kind of neat. They're not shackled by large corporations and sponsors and so forth. So it's not so different than we are here. We're Access Cable TV, and we pretty much have a lot of latitude in what we want to cover and talk about. So anyways, check them out if you're down there, and always thanks to Dennis True, Jason Sample, and the folks down there for rebroadcasting this every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Okay, just a bunch of things to talk about today. Okay, let's see, where do I even want to start? All right, let's just go down what Chris has given me, our news director. Let's start out with the Yasu Festival. Our friends that are of Greek heritage, today is the last day. Doggone it. It runs from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. tonight. St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church in Jamestown. Admission's only $2, and kids under 12 are free. Rain or shine, they say. I love Greek food. We were just up to Dimitri's the other day, and I forgot what I had, a souvlaki or something like that, and just love that kind of food. So anyways, of course I like food, period. So that's today, and only today. And then my friends at the Grape Discovery Center, Christina McCain, she wanted me to share with you that they're looking for vendors for a farmer's market right there at the Grape Discovery Center in Westfield out on Route 20. And they're looking to have it on Wednesdays from 11 to 4 during the summer and fall seasons. And if you want information, you can call her. It looks like the fee is, what is that, $10 per day? That's pretty cheap. So anyways, if you haven't been to the Discovery Center, folks, I really encourage you to do a family outing. You could probably spend an hour and cover the whole thing there. It's really, really cool. Has a history of grape farming and cultivation. It's got the ability to have a sample of grape juice, Concord grape juice. A lot of people, they've never had grape juice. They've had other kinds of juices, but not grape juice from right around here. And also you can, for a small fee, you can purchase some samples of the local wines. They have all kinds of grape products and grape-themed products, aprons and glassware and dishes and all kinds of cool things. I shop there quite often for family events. So anyway, it's a great place to be. And while we're talking about the Grape Discovery Center, I might as well hit both of these things right now. The Grape Discovery Center is having, let's see, I'm going to make sure I get this right now. They're having a wine party on the patio from 1 to 4 with live music, and it's going to be on July 11th. Okay, so that's open to the public, and the music will be with Brian Hanna. And then also on June 28th, that would be next Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. They are having paint your own grape and vine inspired wine glass while enjoying local wine. The session will be taught by local artist Tamara Mass, and it's $35, and all materials will be provided. So that's coming up this coming Sunday, the 28th, from 1 to 3 at the Grape Discovery Center. Grape Discovery Center has actually turned out to be a really cool social place to do a lot of fun things and bring your friends and spend some time being creative. Okay, let's keep on moving. We have something going on at the Bemis Point Library. Check out that bike, huh? From now until Labor Day, there's a bicycle raffle, and it's the proceeds are there for the study club raffle. One ticket for $6. No, wait a minute. One ticket's $1, 6 tickets for $5, and drawing will be held on Labor Day weekend, and that's to support the library, and that is the bike you could win. All right, now, some of you think I'm a little loony sometimes. I think that. I really do, because I keep talking about this crazy bird that visits me all the time. Well, this past week, I thought, doggone it, I'm going to prove it. There's Mr. Robin, and you can't quite tell, but you see how the window's kind of blurry there? That's all from his little itty-bitty beak marks. He comes every morning, he was there this morning, and he just sits in the tree, and then he bounces off the window, and there's got to be 1,000 beak marks on that window right now. And he bounces off, and he goes back to the tree, hits it again. So I really do think he thinks it's a competitor. I'm not sure. But anyways, I wanted to show you my evidence that I just wasn't making this up. As far as bear sightings, no bear sightings. I put out Suet, and with a camera, nothing yet, but I will keep you updated on the bears. Okay, another information. Our friends at Infinity Visual and Performing Arts Center are going to have a recital this coming Thursday, June 25th at the Infinity Arts Cafe. The recital will be held from 6 p.m. No, starting at 6 p.m. Community members are encouraged to attend and support Infinity students. The recital is free and open to the public. Also, registration will be closing on Wednesday, July 1st for bands and musicians for the 12th annual Local Music Showcase. I'll be part of that for like the 4th year in a row in support of the Infinity Visual and Performing Arts Center. Interested musicians can contact my buddy Stephanie Rogers at LMS, okay, those are the initials, LMS, at infinityperformingarts.org to request a registration form, or visit Infinity's website at infinityperformingarts.org. Let me say it again, infinityperformingarts, all one word, .org, to download a PDF copy. Registration forms will be accepted until Wednesday, July 1st at 5 p.m. or until all venues are booked. Let me tell you a little bit about that. That is a really fun night. This is one of those things where you all kind of dream about, wouldn't it be fun just to bounce from venue to venues, restaurant to restaurant, bar to bar, wherever the coffee house to coffee house. And on this particular evening in September, I can't remember what it is. It's early September. And I'll be talking more about that as we go along. But you pay, I think it's $10. They give you a wristband, and you can go from like Mojo's to Shawbucks. You can go over to the Labyrinth or wherever, and there's music like every hour. And I forgot how many different groups play, but there's got to be like 50 of us, and all the proceeds go, of course, to Infinity to support the great performing arts and working with kids and so forth. So that's coming up, but if you're interested in performing, they're looking for more performers or bands, and they have large venues and they have small venues. I play in a small place. It's like a little coffee house, and people are practically on top of you, and it's just a really good, fun time. Also, one more thing, Infinity Visual Arts and Visual and Performing Arts will be hosting the May installment of Pulse Poetry Slam on Thursday, July 2nd at 1 p.m. The event is also free, family-friendly, and open to the public. Performance poetry is an excellent way to express creativity while practicing performance and public speaking. Poets and audience members are welcome. A little sideline on that is last night I had the pleasure of going to my granddaughter, Kyla Jade Hamels. She was in her first dance recital. A lot of times we think, okay, here we go. I got to tell you, I was inspired last night. Not because of my granddaughter necessarily. I was very impressed with her. She's 10 years old and she's still coming up through the ranks of dancers. But we were, and this could be any dance recital, doesn't have to be the one I went to, but I got to encourage you to get out there and go to these recitals. They're doing some awesome stuff. And there's dance studios all over the place. We have one here in Westfield. I know there's others in Chautauqua County and so forth. But this one particular one we went to last night, the dancing, and I'm no dance critic, but I was enthralled. They were doing lifts of the girls and the ladies, the women. I don't know how they were doing a few things they were doing. It was incredible. And they had the little teeny tiny toddlers, not toddlers, maybe 4-year-olds, all the way up to full-grown adults that were dancing, and it was marvelous. You know, I often talk about music here, and I bring on various musicians and entertainers, and I will be throughout the years to come as long as I'm still able to do this show. But many of us are on this side of the microphone. We're playing or singing or doing something. But to watch the creative interpretation of what we create in music and watching them dance to the music, it was just beautiful. And I was thinking to myself, well, what particular style of music or dance that I liked the most? And there was a couple that really stood out. And I was like shocked that I would even think this way, because I don't normally think this way. I don't really think about dance. I'm not a dancer per se. It's not pretty. And but I was watching the women that were doing the classic ballet and modern ballet, and it was so fluid. It was just gorgeous. I was very moved, and so if you get a chance, there's things that are going on throughout the county. We got Chautauqua Institution just down the road here. Check out the fine arts this summer. It's all there for you. You got, and if you're not into dance, there's opera, there's concerts. There's concerts in the parks in almost all of our towns. There's farmers markets where they have music and so forth. It's just a great time to be alive here in Chautauqua County. Check it out. Okay, what else we got here? Also, we got the 23rd annual golf tournament. Westfield Memorial Hospital Foundation is sponsoring. This will be on Friday, July 10th, so golfers, mark your calendars. Listen to this. They always have great prizes. They have HD TV, smart TV, an outdoor gas grill, 2 box seats to the Buffalo Bills game. I think it's going to be a great season. These could be really valuable. They have an Apple iPad mini, child's pedal car, patio set, and so forth. Even if you're not a golfer, I'm not a golfer. There's a reason for that. But I still buy tickets with the hopes of winning some of these great prizes. Tickets are $10 or 3 for $20, and all the proceeds, of course, go to support our local and fantastic Westfield Memorial Hospital Foundation. Side note on that, also to remind folks that are at Chautauqua Institution, if you are residing there, visiting there, or you have summer residence, the health clinic sponsored by the Westfield Memorial Hospital will be open starting June 29th. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Had a great week. Lots of fun this past week. It started out just after the show the other day, last week. I was entertaining folks at the McClurg Mansion for their big Civil War reenactment and their Chautauqua Historical Society fundraiser. And I can't even explain what it's like to be there, because I sat up in a corner of the parlor. You're in this grand parlor with beautiful paintings and the fineries and the antique everything, and you got the ladies strolling in with their Civil War dresses and the men showing up in their military uniforms, and it was just a great event. Also want to shout out to my buddies over at Lutheran Social Services. I did a concert this past Thursday, and it's always fun to see all of you out there, and I'll be back in July. Okay, what does this say here? I did that. Okay, last thing I wanted to talk about today. I don't know, I'm a bird watcher, as you know, and this morning I saw a bird I've never seen before at our feeder. I put out some grape jam, because I know the birds like it from time to time, but we saw a garden oriole. I've seen Baltimore orioles, but I've never seen a garden oriole there before. They're a little bit darker, so that was kind of cool. So I got enough rambling for today. I'm going to go now to a break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Ripley Veterans of Valor project, and stay tuned. It's going to be really interesting, and I think you're going to enjoy it. This is for you. I'll be back. And there you go. And thanks for that great piece of footage there. Our crew here, you got Randy and his brother Galen, the Zook boys, and they got their little sidekick here, Randy Burt. They're all going to be doing the ride for Roswell next week, and they're going to leave leave me all alone. Me and Chris, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to run the studio without you. It's going to be terrible, but we'll manage. Anyways, if you haven't had an opportunity to donate, I have. It's a great project, and I don't know a single family in this world that they haven't been touched by cancer. And in many cases, it's been a good story. In some cases, it didn't end well. But research goes on, and if you want to know more about the research, just talk to one of these guys. They can give you rhyme and verse of how much money is raised every year, where the money goes, and so forth. So, Ride for Roswell, we wish you guys a safe trip next week, and we hope to hear from you. A lot of times they call in and let us know what we're doing. It's usually Jeff and Gail say, "Hey, we're at the 40-mile mark. Has anybody seen Randy?" And then Randy will call up and say, "I'm at the 1.5-mile marker. I had to take a little break." We like to pick on Randy here. Okay, enough of that. So thanks for that. And also, as you saw, July 4th will mark the end of our first official year at Chautauqua Sunrise. My guest that day will be Vince Oregon, and we're going to be live. And you come over at the parade and come up and say hi to the guys and myself, and we'll be glad to see you. Enough of that. Today, I have the distinguished pleasure of having on our show today retired Master Sergeant Robert McIntosh. And he is here to share a lot of information about some interesting things. Not too long ago, may I call you Bob?
Absolutely.
Okay. We had John Wolf from the McClurg Mansion, the Chautauqua Historical Society, and he was telling us all about the Alonzo Cushing Medal of Honor, and that it's now on display till September 8th. And so that kind of is like a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about today is medals of honor and so forth. But Bob, you are dressed up in your uniform, and you served in, not the Army, but...
I was in the Marine Corps from 1972 to 1994. So 22 years.
So you would be considered a career Marine?
Yes.
But you're a nice guy. Usually Marines are mean. Most Marines are, "Arr!"
Well,
Don't get on your good. Stay on your good side. I think that's okay.
That's a good way to put that.
Well, welcome to the show, and I know, Bob, from just being on the periphery of things in Ripley, you've been a mover and shaker with Veterans Affairs and doing lots of things, and you got involved some time ago, and I want to start there for our audience so we kind of know the chronology of all the things we're going to talk about today. But you started out with something called the Roll of Honor.
Right.
Can you explain what that is to start with?
It was a brainchild of Roger Testrake, who wanted to make sure that all of the citizens of Ripley that had ever served were
recognized.
Recognized or at least acknowledged for that service. And there were far too many people that had moved away, and a lot of that history was being lost. So that's what started the concept of recreating the Roll of Honor that existed right after World War II.
Now, most people would think, well, Ripley's just a little town. I mean, how long could it take? You get 50, 75 people, you get their names, and you're done. We're not talking 50, 75 people. How many people have you touched so far?
730 plus.
730 people out of a little town, and our town only has like 2,800 people to start with. but it's, over the course of time, that's just incredible that you've captured that much information. So the Roll of Honor was capturing this information. What did you do with it? Because I don't think a lot of our viewers have been to Ripley to see what you did with it.
It's a two-part concept, actually. The physical monument is in the school lawn, and at that monument are two memory benches and display cabinets with all of the names physically listed. And in order to generate that list, we created a database which led to ripleyveterans.org, which is the website where all of the personal histories, as we get them, are entered.
Now, there's always the raging debate, well, I was born in Ripley, but I moved away when I was 6 months old. Am I eligible to be recognized there?
If you were born or ever lived in the town of Ripley, you are eligible.
Good enough. So you didn't have to be born there. If you had lived there, like maybe you were there for elementary school or whatever. It's like B.F. Goodrich. He was born there. We claim him as the son of Ripley, but he really didn't spend a whole lot of time there.
Right, just like one of my sons. He spent a couple years there. He's eligible. He's on the list.
Now, if someone listening now said, well, I'm going to hop in the car tomorrow on Father's Day and we're going to take a ride to Ripley, where would they find the monument and what would they see exactly?
They would find the monument just east of Route 76 on Route 20 in Ripley, again in the South School lawn. It's...
Oh, there it is.
That's it. It's a red cement pillar with stainless steel cabinets, a black granite top, the benches, a set of flag displays, and memorial stones on the north side of it.
Okay. The structure itself is very unique. I've never seen anything like that anywhere else before. There's a red column, and there's this jet black granite top. And I know that has some meaning. Could you explain that to us?
Sure. The black granite top actually is symbolizes the cloud of war that has hung over our nation since its inception. The red cement pillar symbolizes the blood that was shed or would have been shed anytime there was an armed conflict.
Much as we use the red in the American flag, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
The stainless steel cabinets were a representation of the armor, or back in medieval times it would have been armor. Now it's body armor. And
I did not know that. I didn't realize that that's why those were picked.
That's
okay. I learn something new every time on this show. Okay.
That's
so it's not. This wasn't just thrown together. There was meaning behind everything you did. So it was well thought out.
Everything that's there, right down to the lines in the stamped concrete. Everything that's there actually has a specific symbolism.
And I noticed behind the memorial there's flags. Can you talk a little bit about those flags?
We wanted to make sure that every branch of service was represented. Also that we recognized New York State. And even more than that, we wanted to remind everybody that there is a price for all of this. And the search for the POWs and MIAs still goes on. Up to and including World War I and World War II. They are still
still in
the hunt for those.
Yeah.
So that's why all the flags are there.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. We have a phone call, and we'll get back to the flags. I'll put a note on this. Good morning, caller.
Well, good morning, Doc, and good morning, Robert. This is Linda Spalding calling.
You're calling in early.
Well, I have places to go.
Places to see, people to go to. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I wanted to thank you very much, Robert, for serving our country and protecting us. I feel that way about all our veterans. There's no greater gift that anybody can give than to offer to defend and protect with one's own life.
Well said.
Thanks to you.
Well said.
And the rest of the veterans. I just wanted to say that there are some things, services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging. We have our computer training and also the employment program. And also I know that Mary Ann would want me to announce the Yasu Festival is going on.
Yep, we did. We did that earlier.
Oh, I missed it. Well, it won't hurt to say it again. It's a wonderful experience. The food is wonderful.
I love Greek food.
Wonderful. And entertainment and Greek gifts, it's just wonderful. It should not be missed.
All right.
It's a real treat.
You bet. Okay, well, thanks for calling in.
And happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you. Thank you. My crew hopefully will be all together tomorrow as much as we can. Okay, Lynn.
Have a great day and a great weekend.
Thanks, Lynn. That was Linda Spaulding for the Office of the Aging, and she calls in quite regularly, gives a little bit updates what's going on. So, great. All right. So, let's get back to the flags, because we talked about the I'm going to say this right, the prisoners of war, POWs, the flag, there's the New York State flag, but there's other flags in there, and those are for what?
Each branch of the service is represented, and then there's also one for the MIAs, missing in action and killed in action. Just to kind of remind everybody that some of those guys didn't make it back.
Right, and we're not sure where they are.
It's not to be morbid or spiteful, it's simply a way to try and make sure that that there's a tremendous amount of effort provided by the federal government that goes into that. So, and on the veteran side, we greatly appreciate that effort.
Now, one of the things that I found very interesting, because my dad and I, we talk a little bit about his time in World War II, and for my generation and younger, let's go that way, a lot of people didn't realize that the Army and the Air Force were all one back then. For a period of time, it was called the Army Air Force. And then after, I think it was World War II, and then later 40s, they split off. The Air Force did their thing. Thank you. After the Berlin airlift, I have voices in my head. Jeff was Air Force. That they split off, and then the Army went their way, and so they have their own branch of service. Which leads us next to why you're here today, is that each of the branches, let's see if we get them all right. We got the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, and Coast Guard?
Coast Guard.
So there's 5, did I get it right?
Yes.
All right, 100%. Okay, each one of those recognizes individuals for a variety of things. For instance, I look at your uniform, and if the lights were any brighter, I would be blinded, because they're just flashing all kinds of color here. There are medals for a variety of things. So just for sake of information, what are some of those things for, and why would someone that's in the service have medals? You got a close-up shot. Don't cough or anything. What, you don't have to go through all of them, but what they're called service bars, I believe, right?
Yes, or ribbon bars. The second row, first ribbon in, was for service in the Gulf War.
Okay.
Thanks, now I can see them again. The green and white ribbon with the gold star is Navy Commendation. The next one is Navy Achievement, and then Sea Service, National Defense, Arctic Service, Saudi Arabia Service, Liberation of Kuwait, Life-Saving Medal. In a nutshell, that's...
And these, it says rifle expert, and then something over here. What's that for?
Pistol sharpshooter.
Okay. So there's a variety of things that you can get recognized for. But we're not going to talk about those today, other than what we just did. I just want to kind of set the tone here that we're talking about some other achievements. And you have started a project, I believe you started it, called the Ripley Veterans of Valor Project. We're going to call it that today for the want of some title. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where this is going, based on the fact that we're not talking about those?
No, right. It started about 2 years ago. Sonia Moran's husband, Leo, has several of the awards of valor. And there was a discussion about how many guys in Ripley actually could be recognized for acts of bravery or heroism. And that led to more discussions and ultimately a request to Senator Young to try and recognize Leo specifically, and that's where I specifically became involved. Back from her office through the county down to the town and ultimately to me. So I approached the town board and suggested that we form a committee to recognize the distinguished veterans, specifically the Medal of Honor and any other of the top 9 or 10
Now, when
medals.
this morning before I came to the studio, I said, all right, valor, what do we mean by valor? And it's one of those nebulous words. It's like, I can't even just pick out all of them that are nebulous out there in this world, but well, what do we mean by valor? And it was very simple. It was in the collegiate dictionary. So this was like a big, thick dictionary, so I'm looking for a long definition, but it was a very short one. It said courage, strength in battle. That was it, courage. So this is, I would think every service person, I don't care what your job is, you're brave, you're courageous, you're in the face of great odds at times. So what makes these medals so different than those?
The ones that we are specifically recognizing, and even including the Legion of Merit, all are awards for valor or extreme sacrifice and commitment in combat. So there are, I'm not positive of the number, but there are roughly 250 different awards available for each branch of service.
Okay, now we just flashed up there some pictures of various medals that we're going to be talking a little bit about here. Maybe not in great detail, but if anybody's interested more, you can go to American Valor, all one word, AmericanValor.net, and it'll bring up many of the medals you're talking about.
Yes.
And the top one that was just shown was the same medal that John Wolf and I talked about, and now in display is the Medal of Honor. All right. Now, since that's the top one, and I had the opportunity out in Texas to go to the Audie Murphy Museum, and he was the most decorated person in the world, I think. I mean, I don't think he could even walk. I don't know how he could. He had just so many medals, but he had the Medal of Honor. Now, John Wolf corrected me and said it's no longer called, or maybe it was never called, but I used to know it as the Congressional Medal of Honor. Is there a difference, or is it the same thing?
It's the same things as
Okay.
far as I know.
So can we start there? And Medal of Honor, are there people other than Alonzo Cushing that we know about locally here? Is there anybody in Ripley that's involved with the Medal of Honor?
Yes.
Really?
John Haight
Okay.
was awarded the Medal of Honor 8 June 1888. So
What did he earn that for? This was for Civil War.
Civil War.
Okay. And we actually have a website. We don't have to show it right now, but sometime while we're talking, maybe they'll pop it up. But you can go to this website and you can find what these, there you go, okay. Let's see if I can find mine too as well. You can go to this website and you can look up, it's called homeofheroes.com, homeofheroes.com, and it'll actually show you a listing of all the different awards and by war and so forth, and you can find John Haight. So evidently he was awarded for this, and during the Civil War, according to what I'm reading, there was just so many of these awards given, and he was one of those. And his remains are in Ripley?
Yes,
Okay.
they're in the East Ripley Cemetery,
Okay.
on the west side.
I'll tell you, living in Ripley is not like growing up in Buffalo. It's down the street off of Main Street, 2 blocks. When you live in Ripley, is everything 1,000 foot on the south side of the road near the barn. Okay, so the Medal of Honor, so any others that have the Medal of Honor?
He's the only one that we have found so far. But
So that begs the question, and why are we here today?
yes, we desperately want to make sure that we don't miss anybody. We also want to make sure that all of the information that we get is 100% accurate. So for the same criteria as the Ripley Veterans Roll of Honor, anybody that ever lived in the town of Ripley that has ever been awarded the Medal of Honor, the Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, Distinguished Flying Cross, Distinguished Service Medal, Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, Meritorious Service Medal, Superior Service Medal, Air Medal, or Purple Heart. And if I went over those too fast, I'm sorry, but
Oh, we'll come back to them maybe in a bit.
send the information to the town of Ripley at P.O. Box 352, Ripley, New York, 14775. Attention Valor Committee.
Bob, is anyone else in the county doing this sort of thing? For their towns?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. So, we're jumping around a little bit, but it'll all come together here in a minute. It always does. So we began with the discussion of the Ripley Roll of Honor, which is honoring all service men and women. And you can go there, you can see that retired Master Sergeant Robert McIntosh served from 1972 to 1994, you said?
Yes.
And it'll be listed there, okay?
Yep.
And you have like 700 people there. So how are you going to honor these individuals? I'm assuming there's more here, but we'll get to that in a minute. So let's take this John Haight, H-A-I-G-H-T, I think the way it's spelled. How are you going to honor him? I mean, is it going to go in this Roll of Honor, or is this something different?
He's already on the Roll of Honor.
Okay.
And at the monument, there are 2 bronze placards. And similar to those placards, we want to install New York State style, I guess is the best way to describe it, road signs that will list the awards and the people that won those awards. And just like the Roll of Honor, we want to make it an ongoing, updatable, real-time process. So there will be cast aluminum signs with the folks' names and their awards. The exact format we still have to finish working on, and thank you for helping me with that.
You're welcome. Well, we're trying to get the word out here. Bob, I have to commend you on this project, both projects, because every day we watch the news, and for the last, I don't know, it seems like forever, 14 years since 9/11 there, we've had so much more emphasis on our returning service people coming back injured, or my dear, dear friends from Vietnam, which includes yourself, who were unrecognized for their efforts, their valor, their courage, and in many cases were publicly embarrassed by their role in Vietnam especially. And to me, this is sort of like one small way of making it right. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I commend you for that and for all your efforts. I mean, you're almost sometimes a committee of one, and I know that there's people supporting you, but if you didn't have this drive, this wouldn't be happening. Where I want to go next, and we're going to come back to the medals in a minute, is there was this fella that and his wife and we used to, years ago, get together and play cards. And it was a crazy time. Cards flying and yelling and whooping and hollering. We just all laughing and having a great time. And this particular fella, the husband, was a wild and woolly guy. And never in my wildest dreams would I have ever dreamt that Leo Morin had this distinguishment that he had. And unfortunately, when he passed away, we read about it in the newspaper, and I was just dumbstruck. And to realize, and my son pointed this out to me, the level of awards that he received were far and away beyond what most service people received, and yet he never talked about it. And I have found that almost in every case that anyone I know that has any of these medals of valor never talk about it. That, to me, is a common denominator of someone that is valorous, that it displays valor, courage in battle. Comment? Would you agree with that?
Yes. Even going through that list from the very beginning, there are names on there that I went to school with, and even now, sitting around talking with the guys, you would be flabbergasted at some of the awards they have.
Amazing. Yeah.
It was pretty enlightening.
Let's get back to the awards a little bit. We talked about the Medal of Honor. How do you get one of these? You do something way and far beyond the common duty, but how is it awarded? Because you were explaining to me, and so was John Wolf, that this isn't just like, congratulations, here's your award. What's the process?
Once you're nominated, and you are nominated, then it goes in front of a review board, and then it actually goes to Congress and is physically presented by the President of the United States. And specifically, and just to make sure I get it absolutely right, it's presented by the President of the United States in the name of Congress and is conferred only upon members of the United States Armed Forces who distinguish themselves through conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty, while engaged in action against an enemy of the United States, while engaged in military operations involving conflict with an opposing foreign force, or while serving with friendly foreign forces engaged in an armed conflict against an opposing armed force in which the United States is not a belligerent party.
So this is big deal.
That's as good as it gets.
And as John pointed out in one show, Lonzo Cushing got it 151 years late. So this tells me, in his case, it's an extreme situation, but to get the Medal of Honor today, it would take a while. I mean, you'd have to go, somebody would really have to be recognized, and someone would have to be able to nominate and go through criteria and all that sort of thing. I wonder if the person that's up for this award, do they even realize that people are doing this sometimes? I mean, do you have to give permission?
No, and I would have to think that by and large those guys probably don't know.
Probably shocked when they find out. Again, humble, humility. They don't even think about it. They don't think twice about it, do they?
Right.
Now, I'm not trying to fool around right now, but to get this award, you can be living still, right?
Yes.
Okay, because obviously in the Cushing matter, it was way late, but because some of these you give after someone has passed away, but this is anytime.
Right. Jason Dunham, Marine Corporal, lived in Scio, was awarded the MOH posthumously. And there are specific signs throughout New York State and the county recognizing those specific individuals, and there is a process for that.
Okay, hang on, we got a question here. Let's see. Is there a large amount of people who were never recognized because of race, ethnicity, such as Asian Americans during the Civil War or Japanese during World War II?
That's a great question, and I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
I absolutely.
We may never know, but it could have. It could have been they did something that was of valor, but because there was discrimination, perhaps they didn't. But I suppose if that's the case, if someone knew something about that, they could still go through the process and nominate them today. 151 years later, Cushing got it, so
right.
If somebody felt that somebody was slighted, they probably could do that.
Just like the Tuskegee Airmen.
Absolutely.
Those
there
guys
you go. Perfect.
Still are.
Okay.
Do the research and submit the.
Okay. Just real quick, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels. We got about 7.5 minutes left of the show. It's going quick. My guest today is retired Master Sergeant Robert McIntosh, and we're talking about the Ripley Veterans of Valor project in Ripley, New York. So let's get back to the awards. Let's kind of go through them just a little bit. So the Medal of Honor is number one, and the next group is a group, I think, of 8, you told me, and are these all of equal status, or are they? Is there a level within that group?
The ones that we selected are in descending order.
Okay. So what would be the next one in descending order below the Medal of Honor?
The Distinguished Service Cross.
Okay. And what would you get that for?
Again, it's while you're engaged in combat, the actions that merit the Distinguished Service Cross must be of such high degree that they are above those required for any other U.S. combat decoration, but do not merit the Medal of Honor.
Okay.
It's equivalent to the Navy Cross and the Air Force.
Okay. And on the chart that we were just flashing up there, it would be the top 2 and the third one down. So, or not the top 2, but just under the Medal of Honor and their crosses. And so we've got, so the Distinguished Service Cross is for any military? No, the Army. And the Navy and the Air Force. All right. And what about the Marines? Where do they fall?
We are with the Navy.
Okay. And the Coast Guard?
Same.
Same. Okay. Because people might say, well, what about? So I'm asking the what about questions.
Yep.
So those are the ones just below. So Ripley, do we have anybody with the service crosses?
Not that we have found so far.
Okay. Now, this is one of the things I want to encourage our viewers today and our listeners on WRFA. Just for fun, talk to your grandfathers, talk to your dads. Go look in the china cabinets. Go look at their war souvenirs and things like that. And it should say on the medal what they are, right?
Yes.
And if you're from Ripley or any connection to Ripley, let Bob know, and he'll get that information before we wrap up here. So, anyways, but what if somebody says, I don't want anything to do with this. I earned it. It's not a big deal. I don't want my name. What do you do about that?
We respect their...
Okay, good enough. So this is all by permission, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep on going. So the next one I see is called the Silver Star.
Yes.
And what's that all about? That would be the one to your right on the screen with a star there.
It's the third highest combat decoration. And the criteria for that is actions that merit the Silver Star must be of such high degree that they are above those required for any other combat decoration but do not merit the Medal of Honor or a Service Cross.
Okay. So
again, it's in combat. You went far above and beyond the normal call of duty, and
okay, and this is where your journey began with the Silver Star,
the Silver
right?
Star,
And-
yes.
And do we have people in Ripley?
2 of them.
Okay, can you share that?
Rexford Baldwin and Leo Morin.
Which wars were those?
That was World War II and Vietnam.
Okay, so that's a big deal, Silver Star, from what I understand, right?
Yes, it is.
These are all big deals. It's hard to say one's a bigger deal or lesser deal, but I mean these are far and away big deals. And then you have the Distinguished Flying Cross. Is that, I'm assuming, Air Force?
Yes, or Army Air Corps.
And is that equivalent to the Silver Star, or that's just different altogether?
That's different altogether.
Okay. And then we come to something called the Bronze Star.
Yes.
Okay.
And we actually have 13 Bronze Star recipients. And of those 13, 4 of them have multiple awards. So
You can do that.
you can do that.
And so the Bronze Star coming down in the series here, what would you get that for? Same, just a degree of valor, but not way up here, but not down there. This is interesting. Okay. Quick side note, I knew my son Scott had a Bronze Star, and I wrote to him because I said, do you want to be included with this? And he said, yeah, I got a Bronze Star, but I also have 3 others. I go, what? Does your mother know this? So even in my own household, I didn't even know. So again, if people know of people that are interested to be part of this project, who are they going to contact?
Again, it'd be the Ripley Veterans of Valor at P.O. Box 352, Ripley, New York, 14775. Phone number that is available is 716-736-6881. That's the town clerk. Becky graciously agreed to field phone calls.
Great.
I don't have a website,
But get a hold of us at the town. Okay. And I don't want to leave off the next one because this is an important one as well. The Purple Heart. Tell us a little bit about how you get that, unfortunately, I guess.
Unfortunately, you're going to bleed to get one of those. It was originally issued starting in 1782, and then it kind of faded away for a while and was resurrected again in 1932 under its new and official title of the Purple Heart, and it's awarded to any person wounded in action while serving in any of the armed forces. It's also presented posthumously to the next of kin of personnel killed in action or who die of wounds sustained during action.
And in Ripley, I'm assuming we have a few?
Yes, we have 15, I think.
15. So Ripley is just one small example of valor in service, and I'm assuming every town can do the same. Folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise. My guest has been a retired Master Sergeant Robert McIntosh. It's been my pleasure and honor to have you on the show today. Thank you. And folks, if you do know someone that's had one of these awards, get a hold of Bob if you're from Ripley, and they'll make sure that you are honored or your loved one is honored as well. We'll see you all next week, right here, same time, 9 to 10. I'm Doc Hamels. You take care and be well.
Thanks, Doc.
That's it. I try.